The Sporting Chance podcast is brought to you by the King of Tight, Richard Moats at midnightfalconry.com. Go see Richard for the tightest of tight falconry gear.
Definitely don't forget to go see our boy Seth Roy at northmountaingoshawks.com for your next hunting partner this spring.
And also mountainstatefalconrysupply.com. Go see our friend Heather McNeamer for high-quality falconry gear based on the East Coast. So if you need your falconry gear yesterday, drop an order in at mountainstatefalconrysupply.com.
And Heather's a friend of the people. I was just had the opportunity to be up at the New York Falconry Meet and checking out all the raffle items. But one of the most beautiful setups that I saw while we were there was Mountain State Falconry equipment, and she donated a bunch of stuff to be raffled off and made a lot of people happy that day.
She's the best. And let us not forget A Journey with Red Tails by author Bob Glass. Bob is an authority on the subject with decades of experience in falconry. The book is beautiful. It's got to be one of the best looking falconry books I've ever laid my hands on. Check it out at ajourneywithredtails.com. And last but not least, sportingchancepod.com.
Listen, guys, our website is live. We got t-shirts and stickers. Just do me a favor. It's just a very simple favor. If you're enjoying the show, we drop every Monday, give you entertainment and information. If you're having fun and you're enjoying everything that we're doing, just buy a shirt. Not that hard. Go right on. Shipping is quick. Nice shirt, nice merch to wear, a couple stickers to throw on the hawk box. Real simple.
All right. Welcome, everyone, to the Sporting Chance podcast. I am Aaron Kincaid.
And I am Casey Everett.
And today we are just doing a little catch up. We've had a lot going on in our world. We're hot on the heels of our latest episode with David Feliciano. That episode ruffled some feathers because David is the former South Pacific director for NAFA. NAFA being the North American Falconers Association. And David had some interesting things to share about his experience in that role. And it was certainly not all positive. Is that safe to say, Casey?
Yeah, I would say so. Definitely.
Yeah. So David shared some stories of things that happened that he disagreed with. He shared a run-in with the former president. Casey went on a classic Casey rant where he told people not to join NAFA.
I may regret that rant.
So, I mean, listen, this is my thing with NAFA is I'm a member of NAFA. I've been for a long time. My sponsor, Bob Pendergrass, he instilled the importance of organizations in me. But, I think that they're open for criticism and they should welcome it, right?
Yeah.
And that if, to their credit, they never tried to stifle anybody's free speech. They didn't ask us to take anything down or anything like that. So they didn't try and do that, get involved in that way. But I mean, I feel like I have some legitimate complaints about NAFA, and no organization can be perfect, right? I think that they should focus on some key issues. But that those might just be important to me. They might not be important to everyone else. So I don't know. What's your take, Casey?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on this similar page to you. I think that they should be focusing on more important things like setting a precedent for the future of falconry instead of involving themselves in trivial meme battles and wars and DEI stuff or whatever it is that they were doing. I get it, like whatever, be inclusive, but it just seems like a big waste of time when there's much bigger fish that fried and they haven't shown that they're frying those fish, but yet they're involving themselves in other trivial issues and putting a lot of hours into it. I don't know the inner workings. I don't know a lot of the stuff that's going on behind the scenes. I've been given a little insight from a friend of mine who is involved in NAFA on the legal end, and he shared some stuff with me. So they're definitely fielding. They're definitely fielding a lot from anti-falconry, anti-hunting groups on a regular basis. And I think they're trying to do what they think is the right thing to do to try to get these people off their back. But at the end of the day, bending the knee to anti-hunting groups will only it'll only empower them more to continue to push at us, because if they got us out of the way, then they're going after this or that other hunting organization. They don't care. They don't care, how many diverse people are on your board. They don't care. They want these people want to see falconry eliminated completely. So I think we should just continue to promote falconry in a positive way, share content about falconry, encourage membership, which is great. But yeah, I think there's a lot of work that could be done. And I know in Europe, I think we discussed this on a previous episode, but I can't remember. In Europe, they have falconry is considered a cultural heritage activity, meaning it can't be infringed upon. So in Europe, the union or whatever, it has to be legalized and people have to be legally allowed to practice it. And I don't know why we can't get something like that in the United States. I know that I think Montana and a couple of those Western states, those true American states, they have Arizona has hunting and fishing in the constitution of the state, where it's your right to hunt and fish. It's in the Constitution that you have a right to do that. I don't know why they can't just add trapping and falconry to that list and houndsmanship to that list. These are all cultural heritage activities that should be respected and promoted. And these dumbasses that are on my feed literally crying at a dog going down a hole and grabbing a rabbit and pulling it out, or a bird catching a rabbit. They're so far removed from the reality of the world that it's I'm not concerned with their point of view at all. I would like to give them a good representation, and I try to answer everybody as respectfully as I can. But some of them are just, they've been eaten out of plastic Ziploc vacuum sealed containers for too long to be educated on anything that's other than what Apple iPhone's coming out and what price the little slice of beef from the supermarket is. So there's a lot of work to be done with the general public, and I think the only way to do it is to continue to post respectful and entertaining content to people. And there's trappers doing the same thing. New England Naturals, friend of the show, got some interesting stuff to talk about. I don't know if we're done with NAFA, Aaron. You want to talk about that a little bit more? Or you want to?
Well, I want to make it clear what I want.
Go ahead. Make it clear.
Here's my demands.
Go ahead.
I want greater access to golden eagles. I want greater access to peregrine falcons. I want easier access to exotic birds by importing. And I want the captive breeding of golden eagles.
Yep.
I want all that.
Agreed.
You do that, and I'm on my knees, NAFA.
Okay. I think that's a big ask. Yeah, my thing would be more access to hunting properties, more protections for falconers legally, getting stuff written into constitutions. Why can we not do what Europe did? I know there is a reason. I heard the reason years ago, and I can't remember what it was. But there was some reason why we couldn't do the same thing. Do you know the reason, Aaron?
I don't know the reason, but I just had the thought, I recognize none of this is easy. If it were easy, it would be done, right?
Right.
But this is what they exist for. It's supposed to be for these things that are bigger than just because I want it, I'm going to have a really hard time, or a nearly impossible time doing it. But, members, I don't know how many members there are in NAFA. You're stronger as a group. I don't think that we should stop pushing for more rights as falconers. I know your average person just wants to be able to go trap a red tail and to be able to go out and buy a Harris hawk and fly it on squirrels and rabbits. But, there is a sizable group of people that want to do more than that.
Right.
So,
And even on that note, there's still a state, and there may be others in our country where you can't even trap your own red tail. You have the state to trap your red tail. Why is NAFA not involved in fixing that? Why is that even a thing?
Yeah.
Is it because there's 10 falconers or less in that state? And are they may or may not be NAFA members? Because apparently being a NAFA member, that's the only thing that they care about. They won't even share or interact with people that are not a member, which is very odd to me. So if you have somebody doing cool stuff, or somebody that is passionate about a certain thing, and then you find out they're not a member of NAFA, they're like, oh, never mind. No hawk chalk for you. Like
So,
I
let,
get it. Like,
let's
okay,
share the story without mentioning any names whatsoever. Okay.
okay.
So, and I'm going to say it because I don't know that you can say it without.
I'll say it. I can control myself. Come on.
A friend of ours told us, and this is a very reliable source. He said that he sent a former NAFA president a friend request on Facebook, and this NAFA president said, no, because you're not a NAFA member.
He messaged him back and said, hey, I was interested in allowing, to be friends with you on Facebook, but I noticed you're not a NAFA member. So therefore I will not be friend request, taking your friend request on Facebook. I'm getting fried. You see my blood pressure? I just started.
I know. That's why I didn't want you to say anything
like that. And I know this former director not well, but I know
Calm
him.
down.
And I've met him. He's
say less.
Yes. Good falconer, seems to be an interesting guy, but that's like if that story is true, and I am almost positive it's true if this source was telling us.
True.
And that's just like absurd. And then I told my story on the show of having a good day in the field with some new young birds and somebody who finally got their bird over the hump on the second season of catching.
Yeah.
And I didn't do anything other than just post a picture of it. And then I got reached out to by the Northeast director of NAFA. And he wanted to hear more. He asked me a whole bunch of questions about the situation, what details were on each bird, who bred them, all just he wanted to know about it. And then he said, I'm interested in putting it in my report, my director's report. And then like a week or two goes by, and he messages me back, and he says, hey man, I just realized you guys are not members of NAFA. What's up with that? And I said, I don't know. I tried to get my membership back, and I went through this in the episode that we did with David, and he said, well, unfortunately I won't be able to put it in my report because you're not a member of NAFA. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. And it still to this day doesn't necessarily bother me, but it was just weird that you're in the Northeast director. I don't know how much he has to write about, and something interesting happened. Not that it was 3 rabbits were taken with 3 birds. It's not like, something to write about, but he thought it was cool, but he wouldn't put it in his report because we weren't members of NAFA. So I was like, all right, it's a little weird. You know what I mean? It's a little bit strange, Yeah.
Well, anytime I've ever voiced concerns to NAFA, I've not been pleased with the response that I got. Seemed pretty dismissive.
Right. I've never voiced opinions directly to them, other than calling them on the phone to try to get my email fixed, which is in the process of being fixed or could possibly be fixed now. After that episode, I got reached out to by a few different people that are in the NAFA leadership to try to rectify the situation and explain some things to me. And we got some other sides of the story. We're debating whether or not to have maybe a NAFA board member or 2 come on the show and give their side. I'm open to it to a degree. We're still in discussions about it, and they don't, and I asked one of the people, I said, would you be interested in coming on? And they said, well, to be honest, no. But, what I heard the other day was, there was a lot there that needed, that wasn't said. That was part of the story.
Yeah. Well, it's opening it by saying, am I interested? Not really. I'm like, yeah. Well, then fuck you then.
Right. Exactly. So like if we got, tens of thousands of people are listening to our show now at this point. Like if you're not interested in coming on and setting the record straight, then you can just, I don't have any animosity towards them. That's the thing, Aaron, is I don't have any animosity towards them. I don't care. That's the problem, is that I don't care. You know what I mean? I understand the value of them. I would like to see them continue. But I also think it's becoming kind of like a little bit of like a political thing going on where it's like a lot of politics and cronyism and trying to get this person to do this and sending, bills for that. Hey, let's get the board members some checks for their time from the membership funds. Like it's becoming a little, it's becoming a little, you know,
I said before too that the president is not voted on by membership. The president is voted on by the board of directors.
right.
That would be like Congress deciding who our president is.
Yeah. You said that on the show too. And
Yeah,
it's a perfect, correlation because it just doesn't, the members all throughout the country, they should be given options. The board members should narrow it down to 3 or 4 guys. And
I don't even think that, but that's better than the current system.
right. Yeah. Or they're able to campaign for themselves.
Right.
Like they could do in any other election. They go online, they go on the NAFA Facebook page, private group. They can each make a video that's, a couple minutes long, 20 minutes long, and they can talk about themselves, their faculty history, what they think they could do with the organization to move it forward. Like something
I
that
think that'd
makes
be novel.
logical sense, right? Rather than just saying, this is your new president. And I'm sure there's a reason why they do it that way, but um, you know, and then me and Aaron, we could do a live debate. We'll rent out like a space and they can debate each other. Like, imagine that'd be so funny.
That'd be
Imagine, I
hilarious.
heard your bird flew into a window. That's a lie, And I'm just like, and me and you are like like
Fact checking.
fact
Yeah.
checking live during the debate. That's the way to do it, man.
Okay. Yeah. I'm fully behind that.
That'd be
But I will
fun.
say, being a member, I feel like I have a license to air my grievances.
Right.
I'm invested in the organization. So if there's something I don't like, I feel perfectly comfortable voicing that.
Yeah, and you should.
Yeah. So join NAFA or don't join NAFA. That's entirely up to you.
That's right. And I do regret my rant saying don't join NAFA. But in the moment, as we do, and I'm known for this, losing my cool from time to time. And I lost my cool hearing that story that David shared. And I just think it's a little ridiculous. So we don't have to rehash the whole story, but I thought that was a little ridiculous.
Yeah. Go back and listen if you haven't heard it.
Yeah, it's a good episode. He had a lot of cool stuff to say, a lot of interesting stuff going on. I like the culture out, and I don't know that I like it. I don't know if I like the culture. It's bizarre to me, and it's an abomination that I would go to one of my favorite duck spots and find 4 cars parked there waiting for the sun to rise. I'd be infuriated. Just because the
Yeah.
way I was brought up in the sport, that spots are sacred and protect them and don't share them and only ask permission. And then there's like four guys waiting to fly the same pond in the morning. Some cool stuff that Dave was sharing, and it seems like everybody's kind of chill out there. It is California, so everybody's chill. Supposedly, it's yet to be seen, but it just seemed like it was more of like seemed like there was more falconers, a different vibe. And it was interesting to hear David's point of view, and he runs a really good dog. He knows how to run a good dog. He knows how to exercise them. We didn't really get too far into that, but he's a real deal dog trainer. So if you see his videos of his dog, that thing's rippled with muscle, in shape, great line, great trainer. So he was a cool guy doing cool stuff out there. Move on, Aaron.
Definitely a great episode. Yeah. Yeah. We can move on.
Okay.
So let's talk about going out and recording with Teddy. So we recorded an intro a short while ago to the episode because we just jumped right into it. On in Teddy's house recording a live episode. But so Teddy lives in Delaware. I live in North Carolina. I drove to Delaware. I left my house at 9 p.m. at night because I wanted the full day. I wanted all day Saturday to do this. So I left my house at 9 o'clock at night, drove as long as I could, pulled over and slept. Horrible night of sleep. I think it was 3 or 4 hours. Get to Teddy's at 8 in the morning. Immediately just get to it, checking stuff out, drinking some coffee. She offers me some pastries in the kitchen. Just a real classy move. sits me down, puts photo albums in front of me, pours me some coffee, and I'm just sitting around shooting the shit with her, waiting for you guys to get there. So then, shortly thereafter, Casey and Harrison showed up. We went out, we flew some birds, caught some game. I guess it feels funny. I feel like we should be secretive about it, but there's no reason to be secretive. Teddy shoots a raccoon that the dog treed.
Yeah.
Just a awesome day. Then we get back to her house and we record the podcast for a few hours. Like she has so many cool things to say. It was just an awesome day. And then after we record at like 9 o'clock at night, I leave Delaware and drive back to North Carolina. But the
Oh my God.
difference was all of my warm clothes were dirty and had like seed ticks on them.
Yeah.
Did you get any seed ticks on you that day?
Is that what you guys call them down there? Seed ticks?
Yeah, the teeny little ticks. Yeah, seed ticks. Not just normal
Oh,
ticks.
I thought you were talking about like little actual seed patches that get stuck on your
No,
clothes.
no,
We're
no,
talking about
no.
actual tick.
Actual ticks, the teeny little ticks.
Oh yeah,
Not like deer ticks or anything like that. I'm talking like they're really, really small, like the tip of a pencil. Yeah, you're
uh
probably covered with them and don't even know it.
dude, what are you talking? Dude, I shaved my whole body. I'm smooth as and my
That's
head is
cool.
bald. I don't get nothing, bro. I
That's
see
true.
everything.
I
I
had
check it.
one when I got home like 3 days later. I found one on my side, on my ribs.
Ugh,
Yeah, it was there for
disgusting.
days. But anyway, so all my warm clothes were dirty and they got covered with ticks, so I didn't wanna wear them. So I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt, freezing my ass off because it was cold as hell that night.
What you don't have heat in your car?
Yeah, I'm sleeping though, dude.
Oh, you slept in the back. I
Yeah,
forgot. Oh, I forgot.
yeah.
I
So I
forgot.
pull over to sleep and I'm just, like, freezing my ass off.
Yeah, what do you have a sleeping
Yeah.
bag? You have that your famous blanket with you? The one you're literally sitting with right now during every episode. Aaron
My
looks like a
blankie.
old he looks like an old woman. He sits on a during every episode, he sits in his chair and he has like a little blanket over his lap, like up over his like
I think it's,
chest.
like, more like Professor X.
Yeah, I guess. You look like you're about to knit something or like crochet.
Dude, I'm cozy, man.
Yeah, you look it. No, it looks good. Very soothing. And he's got the background of because on this app you can pick your background. I just have my crusty looking background with some furs and bows hanging. But no, yeah, it was phenomenal. No, I didn't get anything. I didn't see any. The dogs had a couple. Ginger has Lyme's disease, which few people may know. She was
Which
acting
she did not get it there. It was that
no,
day that she was acting off.
yeah, she was acting off on and off the week before, and then with Teddy was like, maybe she's just a little, she's tired, it's a little warm that day, and then like towards the end of the day, Teddy goes, something's off with Ginger. You should, and just growing up, dealing with Teddy and talking to Teddy and asking for advice, she said, these are her words: "It's imperative that you get that dog to a vet." And when she said that, I said, "Oh shoot!" I literally made an appointment like that Monday. Got her in there, blood test. $750 later, X-rays, blood test, positive for Lyme's. The vet didn't seem overly concerned. Vet said, I think with these, the prescription, she thinks it can knock it out of her system, and she seems fine. She's snapping back. I got her on the meds. I've been running her lightly here and there, and she seems fine. But I was nervous. I've seen a fellow falconer's dog, die of advanced stages of Lyme disease, and it was not pretty, and it was traumatizing to see that. So I got real nervous for a second there, but the vet's like, "Oh no, this should knock it out of her system. We'll revisit in a month and see where she's at." But so that's where I'm at. Yeah, and the trip was excellent. It was phenomenal. Getting out with Teddy was awesome. Caught game in front of her. For my, the new bird didn't do too much. Granted, we didn't produce too much for that bird. It was one of those days, you pull out the young bird, give it the first shot, see maybe two rabbits pop out for a second, makes one decent chase, misses, then nothing for the rest of the day. And then, Harrison pulls his bird out, of course, and there's rabbits running out in the open on the grass and on the leaves, just in the middle of nowhere, running for, not even running, probably just like tiptoeing. Bird's
Uh-huh.
crushing him. So he caught 2 in like 10 minutes. And then I swear Teddy picked that spot for him. She was like, Teddy loves Harrison. Harrison's like, he's like the favorite child. And no, I'm just kidding. But so then we took the North American. I had the North American with, flew her in a different spot, a little tougher of a spot, and caught one after, a significant amount of time. It was a tight spot. Caught one. A dog may or may not have ran in and attempted to take it from her or whatever the hell was going on there. And this bird is notorious for not tolerating dogs within a 10-foot radius. And she jumped off of the rabbit, grabbed the dog, did a little tap dance. Rabbit ran away. I held it together, but it may not have seemed like I held it, but I held it together.
No, you did fine.
I tried. Yeah, I was ready to freak out. And then she ended up sealing the deal later, catching another one maybe 15, 20 minutes later. Probably half an hour later, she caught one.
Yeah, we were all very relieved when she did catch one. So I was like, oh, it's going to be a long day if he doesn't get one.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a fun hunt. It was a little stressful. I don't know why. I was tense that day. I don't know why. I think it was because of the episode. I was nervous.
Yeah.
I noticed that I only flip my lid. A couple people have seen me flip my lid. I only flip my lid like at falconry meets and like in important situations, like where like I have a very short fuse, and that's probably just like a character flaw, like a low threshold for stressful situations. Although I deal with insanely stressful situations with my job on a regular basis. I had a situation last week. It may have taken years off my life, but I think I mean, it's still ongoing. We still got to rectify.
You're more bald now.
Yeah, it's just like my skin is just like falling out on my scalp. No, it's I had almost 10 years in business. I never had a situation like this, and I had it last week with a guy that came in to help me out with a project. Ended up flooding something out,
costing you substantial amounts of money.
Yeah, it's going to cost my insurance substantial amounts more. His insurance, he has his own insurance, so we're still dealing with that. But that's on my mind. So I can't hold it together. But I don't know why I I lose my shit sometimes in the field, man. I get real into it to catch something, and I get real, I get real pissed off. I gotta work on that. But you want to do some current events?
Sure. What you got?
Current events. Okay. I think we're going to add this into the show and maybe do like, we're very consistent with our posting. I hope everybody appreciates it. We're right on time every Monday morning, 6 a.m.
I think so. Yeah. Eastern,
6
superior
a.m.
Eastern time.
Yep. 6 a.m. Eastern time. We're ahead on the stock market. We're ahead, in everything else, because we get there first. So we're trying to be consistent, but with the current event stuff, we may be more consistent. We're going to see, me and Aaron are busy, but we have some cool stuff going on. So we have nothing crazy. I'm not going to do like a detailed breakdown, but that bill in Colorado, I believe it was 127. We won. The hunting community won. They were attempting to outlaw hound hunting and cougar hunting outright, as well as bobcat and lynx. They added lynx to it, which are endangered protected species in that state. So they just threw it in there for good measure. The public, which I'm not a fan of this whatsoever, having the public vote on hunting issues. It should be regulated by the biologists, and what they see is fit should be the word. But they put it to a vote for the general public during the election cycle. And the general public shot it down. We won by a pretty significant margin. I think it was 51%. Aaron, you looking it up? I believe it was 51% of the public in Colorado voted against it, to not ban it. So it was yes to ban it, no to not ban it, and 51% of the public, or 54% of the public, I believe that might be the number, voted against it. So mountain lion hunting, bobcat hunting, I believe with hounds and without hounds, is still legal in that state, thanks to all the different social media groups and podcasts talking about it, telling everybody to get out there and vote against it, and it worked, and we did it. I don't hunt cougars. At least not anymore. I'm married, but I don't hunt mountain lions, but but I support wholeheartedly other people's rights to do it if the science says that they have the right to do it. So it was cool to see us have a win there. Um,
And on the subject of Colorado, did you see that Denver tried to ban fur, the sale of fur?
yeah. Oh, yes, I did hear something about that. I don't know the details on it. Yeah, they tried to ban fur completely, like you couldn't even own it.
Yeah, so the fur ban proposal, which was rejected by voters, it would ban the sale and manufacturing of fur products in the city of Denver.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Let's just keep wearing plastic. Let's just put plastic all over our body. Let's drink out of plastic. Let's eat out of plastic. Let's wear plastic. Yeah, let's not use sustainable regenerative resources at our disposal. Let's not do that. That's evil, right?
Have you ever heard of micro fur invading people's
No,
brains?
never heard of it. See, that's not a thing. But I
Did
think
you?
I'm bald because of microplastics, probably.
I saw recently that they're finding microplastics inside of human cadavers' brains.
Oh, dude, it's everywhere. The girls with the leggings, they're saying now the leggings that's all plastic and it's like soaking into their skin all day when they're wearing those leggings, like right up against it.
Really?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
dude. Not
we don't want the ladies to stop wearing those.
no, no, we don't.
So, ladies, don't worry about microplastics in the leggings.
Yeah, yeah. No, but it's just it's crazy. So we won that one, which is great. We also won another one, shooting on down to Maryland. We had a situation in Maryland. We had a falconer. Um, he's a supporter of the show. Some people, I don't know the full details on it, but I believe some people in the community of that state um, had it out for him in some way. I'm not going to say any names whatsoever, but he was flying a.
I think
Uh,
Harrison was like really number one, right?
Harrison was number one. He got off with that. He won that one. Somebody, a falconer, called saying that he was catching rabbits out of season when he was clearly doing baggy San Juans, and it was very obvious. And he even said it, I think, in his post that it was a baggy. But that didn't stop, our community from trying to destroy our community from within our community for some reason. So that was thrown out. This case also was thrown out right out the door before it even went anywhere. They did not recognize. So the issue is he was flying a goshawk, a new goshawk with one transmitter. The falconry coordinator for Maryland actually was the one that made the call to the DEC officer to go and give him a citation, which was bizarre to me. I've never heard of a falconry director trying to get a falconer in trouble. They may have a mandate in that state to like report things that are illegal. So I don't know how it works. I'm not trying to say anything bad about that person. Because I like hunting Maryland, so I'm going to just keep my mouth shut. But so the falconry coordinator was the one that called the DEC to go and issue a citation to this individual for flying a hybrid bird of prey with only one transmitter. So we had this discussion on the show that I believe the different scientific organizations they listed the different subspecies of goshawks from overseas as their own separate species. Which I'm open to because flying a North American versus flying an albitus, they're basically a completely different bird. They have similar personalities and quirks and stuff like that, but the way they fly and hunt and their mindset seems to be very different from what I've seen. When you're picking up on details, it seems very different. So they tried to rake him over the coals, and he went to court. He went to court to have to see the judge about this charge. The U.S. is not at this time recognizing the separate subspecies as their own species. They're all considered northern goshawks. He was able to produce the paperwork from the breeder. The breeder got involved. He actually called the officer that was involved and pleaded his case. This poor person had to hire a lawyer for $2,500 to have this situation rectified. And they walked in, sat with the prosecutor and the game warden, discussed the situation, produced the documents that said it was a northern goshawk, a North American goshawk. Well, I don't think it was a North American, it was northern goshawk, which is the way it's written. When I buy a bird from anybody, it never says, finish this, that, this percent. It just says northern goshawk. So he produced the paperwork that it's a northern goshawk. Whole case was thrown out, cost him $2,500 and some years off his life of stress leading up to the court date. He has since learned from the situation to just be maybe a little bit more careful, because I believe what set this all off was the bird took off and the transmitter wasn't working. So he couldn't locate the bird and made a call, right? Made a call to his falconry coordinator, right? You know, hey, my bird's missing. Um, can you just send out an email to just keep an eye out for my bird, right? That's the right thing to do, right? No,
Absolutely.
no, it's not, apparently,
Oh,
because
it's
then
not?
no, because then the falconry coordinator turned around and called the DEC on the person for flying with one transmitter. So
She dropped a dime.
never talk to the popo. That's what they say. I get pulled over. They ask me where I'm headed. I say, I ain't answering no question. I keep my window cracked.
I ain't telling you shit. What's
I
your
ain't telling you
badge
nothing.
number?
Yeah, name and badge number. Am I being detained? They're like, dude, just blew through a red light. I'm like, am I being detained? No. I'm very respectful. You got to be respectful to officers, but at the same time, giving up. And I've learned this the hard way. Court dates, fines, being buddy buddy with them and giving them information that they don't need is not going to help you in any way. Just tell them what they need to know, be respectful, and just get out of there as soon as you can. Because once you start talking about stuff, you think you're being Mr. Nice Guy, and you think, oh, he's going to respect me for being nice. And maybe some officers will. Hey, I appreciate you being honest with me. I'm not saying to lie. But telling him what you were doing or telling him this or that detail is just going to bite your ass. Just say what you need to say and be done with it. That's just the way it should be handled. Some officers are respectful. They're there to try to help the situation. Some are there to try to make their name off of an arrest or a charge or some citation. So just keep that in mind, because I've learned that the hard way. I was really forthcoming and really nice to these officers, and didn't stop them one bit for literally doing everything in their power to get me in trouble for something very, very minute, something not very big of a deal. So we won that one. Aaron, do you have any current events?
Something that I find interesting, and you kind of touched on this, is that goshawks are now in the genus Aster. They're no longer,
What about the North American goshawk? That still
so
accipiter?
So according to Wikipedia,
Right.
Aster was introduced in 1799 by French naturalist Bernard Germain de. I'm not even going to say his last name.
La
Anyway,
Croix.
it looks like it was La Sapede. So it was formerly assigned. Goshawks were formerly in the genus Accipiter, but they no longer are. It is now Aster. So,
But okay.
but what does it include? So so I guess Eurasian goshawk, and North Americans are not.
Right.
It's a little muddy for me. So
I think it's muddy for the government also, and I think that's why they're kind of not doing anything right now. Because if they do, because that's the thing, as we talked about on the show, if they make Albertus goshawk, which possibly could nest in Alaska, which is a territory of the United States, so it could be considered a native species, so that would be different. But let's say a Finnish goshawk becomes an exotic bird. Now there's an opportunity for people without licenses to buy them. So I don't know that the U.S. government is going to recognize that or put it in writing. They may attempt to use it, which we saw in Maryland. They may attempt to use it to get somebody in trouble or make an example of somebody. But it was thrown out immediately, so it didn't go anywhere.
So according to the Cornell laboratory authorities on birds, the American goshawk is Aster as well. So
really,
yeah.
So they switched everything up. But then doesn't that just make it the same thing again? They're all the same thing again. But obviously there's subspecies in that.
Within Aster, there's it breaks it down into sparrowhawks and goshawks. So, so it's like a chanting goshawk. It's not the same as an American goshawk. So maybe there's going to be some distinction.
Right, but a white-tailed deer in Florida, which is 45, 50 pounds,
It's
is
the
the
same
same.
thing.
It's the same
Yeah.
white-tailed deer that my brother just shot today. That was big old sucker, 120 pounds. You
Yeah,
know what I
we'll
mean?
see.
It's
We'll
the same
see.
thing.
Yeah, we'll see how it all shakes out. Generally, the government doesn't do anything cool, so it probably is not going to do anything for falconers.
Well, we do potentially have a falconer being installed into a high level of power, which is all over the news.
Right.
Friend of the show, Bobby Kennedy, is going to become the health. What is
Health
it?
and Human Services Director.
Which is pretty cool. That's a full-blooded falconer right there. And I think then we have a few
And a health nut as well.
and a health nut. Yeah. So if we could, before we start getting rid of plastics, if we could just fix some falconry stuff first.
Mhm.
I don't know if he could do that. But we're making progress. You never know. He could get in there and
Yeah, the hope is that, he's in the administration and he, can voice concerns about what important changes could be made to protect this intangible cultural heritage, falconry. That would be that'd be pretty cool.
it would be more than cool. It would be legendary and historic.
Yeah,
But we'll see.
maybe he can act on my demands.
maybe if he's listening. Um, so
Maybe-
in other news, we have New England Naturals is slaying it up in where are they from, Aaron?
New Hampshire.
They're in New Hampshire. They're absolutely slaying it. They're trapping um, coons, everything, coyotes, beavers, everything. They're just cleaning up. Friend of the show, great episode with them. Also, the trappers that are on my property, just a little info. I live in southern New York now, and he had a set right across town, not even, but a big old fisher in that trap. I would never even in my life think that there was an animal that was slightly bigger and longer than a house cat running around in my town and not even realize it.
You know, someone was telling me, a previous guest was telling me, Marshall Feinberg said that a guy in Massachusetts had a Patterdale Terrier killed by a fisher.
Jeez, really?
Yeah.
Let's get that guy on the show.
Yeah, that's wild, isn't it?
I would not think that a Patterdale could get killed by a fisher, but I mean, I got the hide right behind me. I mean, it's hanging up. I got a fisher hide hanging up next to a full grown male. I know what it was. It was a male red fox, and the tail is their bodies are the same length.
Yeah, it's a long animal.
Big long
Like a
animal,
big ferret, right?
probably about 10 times the size of a ferret,
Yeah.
roughly.
So, and Marshall's a credible source, so
Yeah.
I believe him if he told me that.
And I think even I think Mink Man alluded. I mean, I know guys and gals that have caught mink with their birds, stuff like that. But
They're little.
yeah, they're little. But Joseph seems to think that an unexperienced bird grabbing it in the wrong side, giving the upper advantage to the mink, that mink could really put a hurting on a bird of prey, no problem.
Oh yeah, I have no doubt about that. That if a bird of prey grabbed a mink like by the butt and the mink doubled over and could bite the bird, that bird could be dead.
Yeah, and they do not let go. I mean, there's weasels killing snowshoe hare.
Yeah.
You seen those videos?
Oh, it's so cool.
They're so incredible. I mean, they just hold on. They do not let go, and they just exhaust that thing, riding it like a rodeo, and then just bite the back of the neck and just crush them and chew on them.
That whole family is interesting. Mustelids, wolverines, mink, fisher, martins, all that stuff. Very cool.
Fascinating. So that's what's going on. Trapped one raccoon from my property, this family. And I believe they're up to like 75 head taken since 2 weeks ago.
That's cool.
Out of control. Showed up to my house the other day to pick up, he dropped off, so he got some bycatch, dropped it off for the freezer for me. Great connection. Befriend your trappers, people. My freezer's half full from bycatch, and he dropped off 3 muskrat carcasses for me.
Nice.
He didn't gut them though, which is a little annoying. I found that out after I chopped them in half.
Uh,
Um, they were all frozen in a bunch, and I just went to town with the axe, and there was some guts in there, so I had to clean that out. But free meat, free resources, doing some great stuff. But he showed up to my house. Him and his mom pulled in the driveway. I go out, hands me the bycatch, and opens up the trunk. He says, "You want to see something cool? Go over there." He's got 2 gigantic. I mean, for me, gigantic bobcats in the back of the truck. 3 fox, 4 raccoons, and it smelled like a skunk, but he didn't have the skunk in there. He trapped that the day before. It was just the scent was lingering. That was all from one night. Multiple properties all over the county. You know what I mean? It's not like he's just trapped in like one area. But that just goes to show how much, how many predators there are in a small area that are just doing a number on different species. You know what I mean? So
yeah, they're doing extremely well. They're called mesopredators, as some of us know.
correct.
For those of you who are listening, it's like the smaller predators, raccoons, possums, bobcats, foxes, things like that. They're thriving out there.
Absolutely thriving. And in some zones, so some people get a little bit triggered by trapping and stuff like that. But if the biologists are saying this county in this area is unlimited take, I mean, there's a reason why they're saying that. It's because you can't really make a dent in them. And he trapped 300 head last year. And this year he's like, I'm on track to do the same thing this year. It's just there's an excess in the area, and there's plenty of resources for them. So you're keeping them, you're not doing any negative impact to them. You're just keeping them at bay. You're just removing the excess. That's all it is.
I pulled my trapper's license. Did I tell you that?
No.
I did. Planning on getting a couple beaver this year. That's my
Good.
plan.
Yes,
Yeah.
you should.
Just to, get my feet wet, so to speak.
Yeah,
I've
man.
got some spots with beaver dams. Talked to some people. I think I can get a plan together to hopefully catch 1 or 2.
Dude, you catch 1 or 2, that's a full month and a half of food for the molt.
Well, I actually want to try eating beaver based
I
on
know.
what New England Naturals had to say.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. They really couldn't speak any higher of it. It sounds so good the way they were describing it. It just falls
Yeah.
off the bone. Clean animal,
Yeah.
it's perfect.
I've heard muskrat's actually not bad either.
I mean, they're basically a miniature beaver. So
Yeah.
that's great. So the trappers are doing good. Falconers are winning. Hunters are winning in general over in Colorado. And just friend of the show, former guest of the show, Mike Radford, is on a once in a lifetime road trip throughout the country. He came down from Alaska. He's currently up to.
Does he have a bird with him?
Yeah, he's got the goshawk and the red tail, man. He's killing it.
God.
And he's got all the hounds. He's got his hounds. He's got their beagle yog mixes, and he's just slinging it, just showing up, meeting up with falconers, all different states, hunting. He was out with Ian Anderson. He went over to a meet. I think there was like a mini meet in Washington. I think he hit that, put on a good show for those people. He's currently rolling through NAFA. So if you're going to the NAFA meet, say hi to him, Mike Radford.
About a month away.
So he's cruising in that direction. I think he just left Nebraska. Just in Nebraska. He was sending me videos. These rabbits are just, dude, it's out of control. He's just cutting the dogs loose, and there's like 4 or 5 of them running ahead of the dogs. It's incredible. And then he's coming to Ohio and possibly Indiana. So I may get my butt in my car and try to intercept him to get on a hunt with him. And if you live in any of those Western states and you want to show Mike Radford a good time, find him on Instagram or Facebook and message him and say, I got some good spots if you want to take him out, because he'll have a lot of fun with Mike. He's a kindred spirit, loves to hunt, great guy. So that's all I got for current events, but I think it was some pretty important stuff to talk about, some cool stuff. And yeah, man, getting cold up here now. It was like 20 something the other day up here.
It's still pretty warm here. We still have a lot of leaves, but there's some promising things happening. You look at the forecast, it gets a little cooler every week. Uh, I am, for the first time ever, not really hunting yet. Normally I'm chomping at the bit, like as well. Usually I have a brand new bird that I have to get out like immediately.
Right.
I don't have that this year. So it's it's not imperative that I'm getting out right now, but I'm doing a little
Unacceptable.
bit of it. Yeah, I'm doing a little bit of it. I've also, excuse me, been super busy with work and personal stuff. So it's,
Right.
I'm here just probably 2 weeks from now. It's 100% falconry.
There we go. I mean, you're playing with the red tail a little bit, right?
Yeah, I'm toying around with a little red tail. It's such a low stress, easygoing type of bird to deal with. When you're used to
Yeah.
dealing with accipiters, or excuse me, esters.
Asters. Yeah. My wife wants me to get a red tail next year.
They're cool birds. They're great birds, man, and they're just so chill. I don't think there's a more chill bird than a red tail.
Speaking of current events, Connor Bucalo in California just trapped a monster. I didn't even know these birds. I mean, obviously it's fresh off the trap, but I mean, he's getting this thing to hop and it's fully calm at 1,500 and something grams out in dark morph red tail out in California. So Connor's doing great with that. Still trying to get him and Paige on the show, giving us a little bit of a runaround. So if you know them personally, tell them to get their asses on this show. Because they're a cool, interesting, group of people out there doing cool stuff.
People would love to hear from them.
Yes, they would. And Connor's worked me through a bunch of issues. He's a great falconer, a great resource.
And they own one of my dogs.
They own it. Yes, they do own it.
Yes, they do. So, yeah, man, I think that's about it. I think we're good to go. It's going to be a short episode, but not everybody wants a 3-hour epic.
Nope. But they're going to get one.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We will be seeing you soon.
Get after it, everybody. Get in the field.
Yeah, get to hawking.
Get to hawking. Less talking, more hawking.
That's right.